Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special Brickformula review of LEGO set 10175, Vader's TIE Advanced. It has 1,212 pieces for ages 14 and up, and it's from the Star Wars series, and this set used to retail for $99.99. And I am reviewing this because my channel turns 1 today. So yep, I've been reviewing LEGO sets for a whole year now. It actually went by pretty quick. And I chose this set in particular because this was the very first birthday present my wife got me about 5 years ago. So it only seems natural to review it today. And I never opened it until recently. And as you can see by the front cover, it's been through quite a bit of action because at the time we were moving from one apartment to another and to another one. And here on the side we have some of the details, and I'll have more on that later. And here in the back we can see the final product on the stand, which looks pretty cool. And over there on the side we have the dimensions, which is 13 by 13 inches. The model is actually 8 inches tall, but with the stand it's about 13.5 to 14 inches tall depending on how you position the stand. But anyway, I'll talk about this set in more detail coming up. First we'll check out the stand because it's a pretty simple build and it's a lot easier to see without the model on top. And as you can see, it's totally reinforced by Technic parts. And here's the view from the front. Here's the side. There's the back. And here's the other side. Now this stand has two different settings. With the model on top, it's about 13.5 inches tall, and you can pull this backwards. This way the model is in a more angled position, and at the maximum it's like 14 inches tall. And here is the view of the bottom, and as you can see it's held up by 5 2x4 plates. And over here in the front we get a sticker, and I'll put it on later, and here's what it says. It's the prototype, 9.2 meters long, and you can hit pause now to read the rest. And now we can check out the TIE Advanced. Now before I show you guys what the model looks like all around, I figured it would be a good time to show you guys what the bottom looks like, because it is easier to see the model once it's on the stand. So we'll take a look at the bottom first. And here it is. This part right here is pretty straightforward. Up here is pretty interesting because we have some hinge parts right here. And you would think that it's kind of loose, but because of the way they arrange the plates on this, it's actually pretty secure, so it's pretty amazing how they designed that. And over here we have two holes that attaches to the stand. When it attaches to this here, it's pretty secure, but when you get to this part, it's a little weird because if you look inside, we have a plate piece, and that's actually a 2x4 plate that's not held down very well, and right behind it is the pilot seat. And the problem here is that once you take this and you stick it in there too deep, you end up popping the plate, and it's not that great. So the best way to attach this to the stand is to attach it here first and then gently lay it down for that part. So here we go, and it's pretty easy. Just line it up, and there we go, and then gently slide it down in the front, and there we go. See? Not bad. On a brighter note, you can't really tell that you popped the plate just by looking at it from the front. The only way you could tell is when you push it downward, and then you can see that the fighter's more leveled out with the ground. That's how you can tell you popped out the plate. But even then, as you can see, you don't really notice anything anyway. It is, however, somewhat of a pain to fix. The easiest way that I could find was to open the top hatch, and then you stick your fingers all the way in and just reposition the seat, and that should do the trick. And now to take a look at a full 360 view of the ship. And here's the view of the side. And right behind this little radar dish, we have some details there, which is barely noticeable, but it's there. And here's the view of the back. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a pretty straightforward design. We have a layer of Technic frames, and then you pile on the plates like an all-you-can-eat buffet. And looking at the back here, I especially loved how they designed this part right there. I think that looks really good. And as I mentioned earlier, the stand does have another setting, and you can angle the ship a little more like that. And now we can see the top. And I love how they designed the greebles over here too. Let's take a closer look at that. It's pretty simple, but it still gives a pretty sophisticated look. And it goes all the way up there. And right there's the hatch, which is held on by Technic parts, and it kind of gives it a loose feel to it. And that's a printed piece that you see there. And the sides here are also designed the same way as the bottom, where we have a hinge piece, and because of the plates are arranged, it's actually pretty secure. And here is the view of this side, but before I do that, I'll just stop at this angle. If you notice in the back here, you notice that they kind of forgot to add the gray lining on this side here, so if that bothers you, you'll have to fix that on your own. And we're back to this side, and this is how angled the fighter is once you have it in a different setting for the stand. And now we're back to the front, and we'll just bring it back. And now we'll take a closer look at the details there on the cockpit. And there we go. As you can see, it's printed as well. However, it is different than the printing on the UCS TIE Interceptor that came out a few years before this one. And I would show you guys the inside of the cockpit, but it's pretty hard no matter how I try to aim the camera at it. So the best way to see it is through the instruction book. And here it is. And basically on the inside we have 2 joysticks, and on both sides we have computer screens of the Death Star trench. And that just about covers it. I can also remove this cover here. This way you can see what's behind it. And it's really on there, but with some effort you can take it off. And while we're here, let's take a closer look over there. If you look inside there, we have some minor detailing just to cover that area. And the wings are all attached by hinge joints, which is the clicky one. So you can always adjust them if you like, although it's probably not necessary because it looks pretty good just the way it is. And that just about covers it. And now I'll move on to the recommendations. Overall, this is a pretty good set, and it's definitely a lot of fun to put together, just like all the other UCS Star Wars sets. And when it comes to the overall design, I think they did a pretty good job. As I was building it, the sides were kind of slanting out because of the way the plates are put together. But once you have it all finished, it actually holds down pretty well. So let's just talk about pricing and how to acquire it, because when it comes to discontinued sets, it can get pretty crazy. And usually the best way is to get it piece by piece, either through BrinkLink or through some other medium. This way you can avoid the outrageous prices that you see on Amazon and eBay. And as of right now, they're selling it for around 200 to 400 bucks brand new, which sounds crazy at first, but let's take a closer look. Now, if you decide to get this piece by piece, it's going to run you around 120 to 200 bucks for the parts alone, and that's if you can get it from one seller. And you should only do that if you can get through the biggest hurdle, which is to acquire the 2 unique parts here, which is the hatch and this outer cockpit piece right there. And those 2 are pretty hard to come by. And only after you get those 2, then you should get it piece by piece. But being that it runs you around 120 to 200 bucks, I think if you can get it for 200 bucks on Amazon or eBay, it's actually worth it, even though it's double of its original retail value. But you should only get it if you're really serious about collecting all of the UCS Star Wars sets. And that's it. That sums up my review. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.